Do you get the feeling, my friend, that nobody's really paying attention to us? Nobody's really paying attention to what's going on? Do you ever get the feeling that nobody really is following what's happening? That there's this other kind of a parallel universe that seems to be working independent of what we really want? Do you really feel, are you feeling great about stuff? You know, the Comey indictment has absolutely just made people say, what's going on here? Because we so wanted to see him. But I submit to you, dear friend, I submit to you that it's not just Comey. What about Hillary? What about Soros? The people that pose the greatest threat to us in this world are not Russia, even Ukraine, but the globalists in the world, the folks like George Soros and others, and Hillary Clinton. And we're asking, where does this come from? When will we see this? And it could be so simply done. I don't want to think that the fix is in. I don't want to think that. It's not my nature. It's not what I want to believe. It's not what I want to believe. I eschew that particular way of thinking. I despise that. But I will say to you nonetheless, my friends, that it's something that I've been thinking about. And I want to discuss with you what you are, what is your worst fear. And I want to tell you about a Super Bowl person that is going to be playing. This is where I sometimes react to things that most people would say, well, what do you care about who performs at the Super Bowl? It's because of what it means. It's because of what it means. That's the part that absolutely floors me beyond anything that I've ever seen before. So, my friends, I thank you so much. I thank you for being a part of this. I thank you so much for your support. You know, as we close out the month, this is the moment when every single bit of support makes the biggest difference, because this is when everything is locked in. Our revenues are locked in. They are fixed at month's end. And that means that these final days, these 2 days, are critical to keeping our mission strong and moving forward. And we could not do this without you. So if you've ever thought, my friends, ever thought about supporting what we do, if you've ever asked yourself when the right time might be to step up and help sustain this effort, the answer is simple. It's right now. End of the month is when every contribution carries extra weight, when every show of support helps us not just maintain momentum, but expand it. We can never do this alone. What makes this work possible isn't just energy or passion or truth or whatever, but the kindness of those of you who believe in what we're building. And Mrs. L and I appreciate it so much. You are the backbone of this effort, and your generosity is what keeps the lights on, as they say, the message alive, and the mission growing stronger every day. As I told you, this is us. It's Mrs. L and me. That's it. No producers, no cameramen, no graphics people, nothing. We are it. So we ask humbly, but with urgency. If you can give, please consider doing so today. Every bit of support you muster is received with gratitude and fuels the work ahead. And we thank you so much, my friends. You have been so, so kind, and we shan't forget you. I was going to bring something up to you. Mrs. L brought this to my attention. You know, when the NFL announced Bad Bunny, we'll get to Soros in a moment, but I got to tell you about this. Any of you folks familiar with Bad Bunny? They were announced that as a Super Bowl halftime performer because of Jay-Z. Jay-Z pushed this. Many Americans shook their heads. How could the league put the world's biggest stage in the hands of a man whose record is littered with obscenity, hostility towards America and American institutions, and cultural grandstanding? This isn't about musical taste. It's about what he represents. And he is despicable. Anybody hear of Bad Bunny? Anyone? Bad Bunny. Let me tell you what Bad Bunny. Remember, this is the NFL. The NFL. The ones who brought us that. Remember that Kaepernick? Whatever happened to him? Nothing. Nothing. This is the Super Bowl halftime used to be incredible. Remember this? Remember those moments? It was like you wanted to see. It was always the biggest, the baddest, the best. Whitney Houston, U2, the Stones, Michael Jackson. I mean, it's the biggest. And now, it's, of course, to give you an idea of what's happening. So who is Bad Bunny? Well, he publicly criticized U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, once calling them sons of bitches, while posting video footage of ICE operations in Puerto Rico. He skipped U.S. tour dates, citing fear that ICE raids would target his audiences. Critics see this as an accusation that the U.S. is hostile towards Latino communities. In June of 2025, he released Nueva Y'all, a video releasing a sound alike of Trump apologizing for anti-immigrant policies, and in tying in imagery of a Puerto Rican flag draped over the Statue of Liberty. You like that? You like that? That's what the NFL said. See, Bad Bunny has aligned with causes perceived as antagonistic to mainstream American politics. He condemns ICE, highlights Puerto Rican colonial issues, and raises what he and others consider consciousness about disenfranchised Latino communities. This is divisive, ideological bunkum. Think about this. Denouncing ICE, denouncing this, but making money from us. And then coming to our institution. Like if I went to FIFA and I started yelling something, I'm going to start mocking their heritage. Or it just goes to show you. I thought this was all over with. This bullshit was over. Didn't they learn with Jimmy Kimmel? Didn't they learn? And it's Jay-Z, right? Jay-Z's pushing this? Yeah. Jay-Z was hired by the NFL. He skirted he got away from that Diddy thing. Wasn't alleged, wasn't brought up, wasn't found guilty, wasn't charged. Only in America can we turn one of our most quintessentially American, next to the World Series, turn it over to some, I don't know what it is. This just gibberish, this hate fueled. I just despise it. And what are we going to do about it? Nothing. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, but we do nothing about it. Pilgrim Media says, I listened to your radio bits back in the day. I listened to your radio bits, my bits, back in the day, my bits, not my shows, not my programming, my bits. Well, thank you. I do my bits every night or every morning, whether overnights on WABC. And they're pretty doggone good. The people that call up are just absolutely incredible. You have not heard anything like this. You can call them bits, shtick, spiels. That's always good. Thank you, Pilgrim. That's like when people who say something are wondering, did they mean that? Was that a slam? Like one time I used to go on this show and this woman would say, thank you for chiming in. I said, chiming in? You invited me. She didn't know what chiming meant. She had no clue as to what this means. So, my friends, we are sitting here, and the most important thing, I'm not going to waste your time with this because it's a waste of time. People do not understand. You may probably know more. Pilgrim said, hey, I'm a fan, sir, especially of my bits. Thank you, Pill. Bits. Anyway, thank you. Now, let me ask you this question. What are we going to do with those Soros? We wasted our time with Jim Comey. Wasted our time. I don't know what this was. This Lindsay Pelican, whatever her name is, initially put in the wrong stuff. The wrong stuff. The wrong, how do I say this? The wrong, what am I trying to say? The wrong documents, spelling word, bedrock and principle, word spell wrong. They think that maybe she did it herself because nobody would bother, nobody would help her because the evidence was so flimsy, so horrible. I do not know this. It's absolutely unbelievable. But what is happening right now, the biggest threat to all of us is what is going to happen regarding globalist expansion and the role of digital privacy, or rather privacy being destroyed via this digital world of encroachment. And nobody's doing anything about it. We are talking about 100% bullshit. There was more discussion in New York about the Mets and how the Mets failed and the Mets fell apart and the Mets, a baseball team. There was more discussion of the Mets. I don't get it. Blood and circuits. Bread and circuits. What could be blood too? We are on the brink right now. Wait till you see what they're going to do to kids. Nobody's talking about this. Do you honestly feel that President Trump knows what's going on? Do you feel like the government, anybody in Congress knows what's going on? How do we let people know? We're now talking about, what are these, Tomahawk missiles or some type of missiles that they're being suggested that the president can issue them to be dispensed, to be operational without congressional consent. Are you ready for World War III? Are you ready for a nuclear conflagration? Or do you think, very simple question, do you believe Trump knows what's going on? Do you honestly believe that Trump knows what's going on? I know people don't like to they hate to ask this. They hate this. They have this thing where, he's better than Biden. True. But do you believe for a moment that the president has any idea? This is the thing which is the most important. This is the thing which is the most critical, by the way. This is the part which is the most critical of anything else. The American public, when they hear the name Soros, just like WEF, Klaus Schwab, eugenics, whatever, something detached from them. They were never schooled. They don't know. They don't have any idea of his history. I'd like to recap his history, to remind people. And he is sitting there, unaffected. And the president, I fear, may have capitulated to big tech and those forces. Not big money, but big tech. I don't think anybody really is at all interested in what's happening with Larry Ellison. Have you talked about that? No. Have you heard anybody talk about this today? No. Did you hear anybody talk about Larry Ellison? No. Did you hear about how he is telling you what he wants to do? Can you imagine if your monies were not allowed to be withdrawn? If your monies were not allowed to be withdrawn because of some type of review process? Sparky says Soros has been CIA adjacent since he helped them set up NGOs in Eastern Europe to foment discord during the Cold War. Think Soros, think CIA. I thought of you today also, Sparky, when Mr. Netanyahu spoke regarding buying TikTok and buying a variety of other properties. Incredible. Incredible, I say to you. Incredible. Nobody says anything. I just don't understand. I don't expect there to be riots, but at least acknowledge it. Does anybody ever say, Mr. Netanyahu, I know what you're doing. Mr. Zelensky, I know what you're doing. I know what's happening here. I get it. No. I hope you don't think ill of me. I really don't. Because I say a lot of things sometimes that have to do with, well, they're not kind things. And I'm not saying them just to be mean. I'm saying them to tell you I'm a scared, as they say. As they say in Hell's Kitchen. I'm a scared. I'm really worried about the future and what's happening. And the hardest part about this is trying to get my fellow Americans to get behind something other than themselves. It's the most difficult thing in the world. Alex Jones has been superb. You know who's very interesting today? Candace Owens. Candace Owens is suspecting, and others are suggesting, that Charlie Kirk was about to either advocate an audit. There's so many allegations about a lot of stuff, about the wife and the various goings on. But because people love this idea of who Charlie Kirk was, they don't want to hear anything about it. It's like it's difficult sometimes parents or kids rather to hear about their parents, about what their father did. They don't want to think about it. They hear what they did about mom and how maybe a parent cheated on the other, and that's your parent. So you kind of, look the other way. You don't want to believe this because it hurts you so much. And then there's this sense of, I don't want to be reminded of things. I don't want to be reminded of things. That's exactly what people say. It's an incredible thing, my friend. It's an incredible thing. I can't say this enough. Whenever there's any discussion about something serious, something that seems to shatter a reality that maybe you have devised, people just don't want to hear it. People don't want to be a part. They don't want to hear it. There's this group I tell you about. I've told you about this. Preparedwithlionel.com. These are the people that have the premier emergency food storage supply there is. But not just food, it's everything. From waterproof matches to generators to water purification to food. And years ago, if you mentioned to anybody, just think 50 years ago, think in the 70s, if I said Civil War, well, maybe. False flag, what's that? We didn't even know what that was. Strikes, supply chain collapse, even the terms, we didn't know what that meant. Domestic terrorism, oh, you mean the weather underground? We didn't know. Lockdowns, freakouts, blackouts, BLM, what's that? EMP, electromagnetic pulses, Carrington class disasters, Antifa, riots, insurrections. Have you seen Andy Ngo's work? It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I mean, it's not some theoretical nightmare. It's today's reality. And the systems, the organizations, the structures that we trusted to remain in order, to maintain order, they're crumbling. And if you had to go 1 week without food, you'll learn the hard way. Fast. Cash, credit cards, Bitcoin, even gold won't help you survive. It's simple. Survival isn't theory, it's primal, primordial, primeval, instinctual, evolutionary, atavistic. It's hardwired. Food, water, energy, ammo. That's it. That's the name of the game. And that's why My Patriot Supply 3-month supply kit matters. 3-month food kit matters. Over 2,000 calories a day, 22 meal varieties, a shelf life of 25 years. And right now, you get 4 weeks free, a $247 bonus. The world has changed, my friend. Hunger is the oldest weapon of control. Don't wait for disaster to prove it. Preparation isn't paranoia, it's survival. Click the link in the description, preparewithlionel.com. Secure your food, protect your family, and secure your future. Now, while there's time. No one's going to force you. No one's going to make you. But reality will. Preparewithlionel.com. When I talk about George Soros to people, you'd be surprised. You have no idea. Mrs. L and I sometimes will say, I wonder how much these people are going to know. Because every now and then we will venture out to meet people. Freedom, by the way, says seeing Soros arrested is like Social Security will be fixed so it won't go dry. What a laugher. I understand why you say that. But don't think that somebody is not beyond somebody just throwing Soros into the mix. You see, when American public hears the name Soros, it often registers like, WEF or Klaus Schwab, vague, detached, ominous. But most people have no grasp, no clue of his history in the machinery he bankrolls. And that ignorance is by design. See, Soros isn't just a billionaire hedge fund operator who made his fortune speculating on currencies. He's a man who has been decades spent it pouring billions into shaping governments, destabilizing currencies, and funding political movements that align with his vision of a borderless, post-modern, post-sovereign world. And through his open open society foundations, I should say, he's bankrolled everything from soft on crime prosecutors to radical NGOs to pushing mass immigration, gender ideology, cultural destruction. He has openly admitted to enjoying breaking nations financially and politically. And he has the resources to do it again and again and again. And yet there he sits, untouched, moving billions around like a shadow statesman. Like the media either shields him or dismisses criticism as conspiracy theories. He's not elected, he's not accountable, but his influence dwarfs most heads of state, and I would venture to say he's probably breaking a law or two. And here's the fear. While Soros perfected the art of manipulating finance and politics, big tech has now taken over the role of gatekeeper and enforcer. And the president, I worry, the president has capitulated not to big money, but to big tech and the Soros-style apparatus behind it. These aren't independent forces. These are aligned, and they're coordinated. And he scares me. But see, you know him. We know him. Will you ever hear anybody mention his name? No. Never. You will never hear his name mentioned. And it's something which I think goes to show you. It might be, yet again, an example of the naivete that we go through. This sense of, how do we say this? This sense of cluelessness. And we don't mind. We are in the middle right now of a race here in New York. And it is so interesting right now. But it's in the Mamdani is asking Eric Soros, who was a moron. Eric Adams just stepped down. Rumor has it he was being offered ambassador to Saudi Arabia or something. I mean, can you imagine it? If Sliwa stepped down too. And Sliwa said, I'm not stepping down. So now they're making Curtis out to be the spoiler. Oh, I'm voting for him 100%. I mean, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So Curtis is going to pursue this thing. And our good friend, Mr. Adams is going to pursue this joke to the dismay and consternation of most good Americans and good Republicans and good New Yorkers who see this joke being played out before our very eyes. And it's incredible to see this. It's absolutely, positively incredible to see what's happening. Truly. I fear for this country like you can't believe. And I know people say that. And I know people say that kind of sometimes. I think they say it just sort of, to say it. But I mean it. Sparky says, fun fact, George Soros was only allowed to speak Esperanto in his childhood home because his parents were globalists. I I've always wanted to. I can never say, or can't say that I've ever heard Esperanto. But I went to school with their cousin, which is another story altogether. How many of you, dear friends, worry? How many of you fear? How many of you think the America that I grew up in or thought I was, even, and I thought that was filled with problems? I have never seen, I'm not worried about the problems now. It's the dangers I see coming. I see them. I see them happening right now before my eyes. Right now. And it blows my mind. I never thought this was possible. I know you feel the same way. And the president is the best that we've got. But I'm so disappointed in so many respects. This Comey indictment was it just was beyond horrible. Sparky said, remember when Newt Gingrich was shut down by Harris Faulkner on Fox News when he mentioned Soros? Oh, yes. Oh, good memory, my friend. Isn't that something? Isn't that something how obvious? You know, Trump kind of mentions him. I think in a weird way, Mr. Soros kind of likes this. I think in a very strange way, he likes this being called out. I think he likes being known as a real spoiler, somebody who could affect the goings on of the world. I think he. But I'm telling you right now, and I'm going to say this to you, I'm going to say it repeatedly. Mrs. L will agree. Big tech, AI, digital surveillance, it is going to provide a panopticon and a way of taking over the minds of innocent children like nothing anybody ever thought even was remotely possible. And I know some people think I'm kidding. I know some people think I'm exaggerating. I know some people think, oh, here he goes again. I swear to you, it scares me. And it's going on in England, the UK. I talked to my good friend Sean Atwood about that. I was on Redacted today with Natalie and Clayton. Please watch that. I'm going to be posting their video coming up. But it's one of those things which I cannot believe I even saw. And I cannot believe that my citizens, and when I do this tonight, what I'm doing overnights, nobody talks about this. They talk about the Mets. And I appreciate that. The Mets are good. Soros is tongue-in-cheek about being Soros. Yes. But he's also, I think sometimes, Sparky, he really isn't the person or the people who really can change things. I think those people are different. So my friends, I say to you, my dear, dear, dear friends, be careful. Be very careful for whom you vote. Pay so close attention to what's happening. And recognize the fact that you're going to have to figure out the news yourself. You're going to need somebody like me and others to help you negotiate this. When Piers Morgan is the depth of this, when he puts on these free-for-alls, and he just wants people to fight, he doesn't give a goddamn about Israel or doesn't care about this. But he wants Anna Kasparian or junk yogurt to lose their mind and to curse. That's what this is about. So dear and great and glorious friend, here's to this great country of ours. Seriously. Here's to this great country. I don't know how long. I mean, it will always be, quote, in existence. Most people won't necessarily feel the jackboot on the throat of most citizens, but that doesn't mean it's not there. Thank you, my friends. Thank you so much. Seriously, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting our efforts. Let me remind you again, preparedwithlionel.com. Please, my friend, there is a link in the section right there in the description. I want you to avail yourself of that. And I want you to know that Mrs. L and I appreciate so much you. Sparky, I thank you so much. William Shatner did an entire movie in Esperanto. You know, you are a veritable wealth of information of Esperanto. I want to thank you about that. Sparky, you are a wealth of arcana. You were the rapscallion. You were the Rasputin of recondite. Freedom, I thank you. Pilgrim Media, thank you. And I hope you enjoy our bits. And I mean that sincerely. All right, dear friends. Have a wonderful and a great night. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for this. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like this video. Please let people know. And understand something. You and I are in the same team. And when I express my concern, it's not just to express concern. It means this is what we have to worry about. Not talk about, I mean, we can only be so happy about, you know, what they're doing with ICE. And that isn't important. It's a great, great improvement. All right, dear friends, you are great and glorious people. Thank you so much for being not only who you are, but what you appear to be. This is Lionel with you, my friends, reminding you the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. That.